You are sitting in a Walgreens in Arizona. It's 2 in the afternoon. You are there because your doctor is worried. Maybe it's cancer. Maybe it's your heart. Usually, this is the part where you see the needle. The long silver needle that fills 3 vials of dark red blood. But today, there is no needle. The technician simply pricks your finger. Click. A single drop of blood beads up. She collects it in a tiny container, no bigger than a pill. She calls it the nanotainer. She puts it into a sleek black box called the Edison. She tells you that in 4 hours this machine will scan for 200 diseases. You walk out feeling relieved. You feel like you just stepped into the future. But inside that black box, the machine isn't scanning anything. The robotic arm is jamming. The blood is spilling over the circuit board. And the result it's about to send to your doctor saying you are perfectly healthy? It wasn't found by science. It is garbage data, produced by a broken prototype that simply cannot do the math. You aren't a patient. You are a prop in a $9 billion con. I am James Tudor, and this is the file on the lie that bled the world dry. The fraud didn't start with the technology. It started with the costume. Elizabeth Holmes was 19 years old when she dropped out of Stanford. She realized early on that investors didn't want a scientist. They wanted a messiah. So she built one. She wore the same black turtleneck every day, turning herself into a carbon copy of Steve Jobs. She lowered her voice to a deep, unnatural baritone to sound older, more masculine, more in control. And she perfected the stare. She rarely blinked. When she looked at you, she made you feel like you were holding the future in your hands. It was a performance, and it worked. Larry Ellison, Rupert Murdoch, the Waltons, the smartest money in the world, didn't ask for peer-reviewed studies. They didn't ask for blueprints. They looked at the turtleneck, they heard the voice, and they wrote the checks. $900 million flowed into Theranos. At her peak, Elizabeth Holmes was the youngest self-made female billionaire in history. She was on the cover of Fortune, Forbes, Inc. The world saw a genius. But the people inside the lab saw something else. They saw a machine that was little more than a plastic box full of broken parts. While the magazines were printing her face, the lab was hiding the evidence. We have the internal emails from the engineers. They were terrified. Physics is a stubborn thing. When you prick a finger, the blood cells often burst. It's called hemolysis. You can't run accurate tests on exploded cells. But Elizabeth didn't care about physics. She cared about the valuation. Inside the lab, the Edison machines were a disaster. They overheated. The centrifuges exploded, spraying blood and glass shrapnel all over the inside of the casing. So, how did they fake the demos for the VIPs? They cheated. When an investor came to visit, the machine on the table wasn't analyzing blood. It was playing a pre-recorded movie of a result. And for the real patients, the ones walking into Walgreens, Theranos wasn't using the Edison at all. They were secretly taking the samples to a back room, diluting the blood to make it bigger, and running it on standard commercial machines they bought from Siemens. They were hacking competitors' equipment to force it to read samples it wasn't designed for. It was a magic trick. The audience watched the black box, while the real work was being botched behind the curtain. If she had just stolen money, she would be a thief. But she stole medical decisions. Theranos sent out millions of blood test results to real people. Because they were diluting the blood, the chemistry was wrong. The results were wildly inaccurate. They were playing Russian roulette with patient health. Take the case of Brittany Gould. She was pregnant. She went to Walgreens for a Theranos test. The result came back. Her HCG levels were crashing. Her doctor looked at the paper and told her the pregnancy was failing. She was miscarrying. Brittany was devastated. She stopped taking her medication. She spent days mourning the loss of her child. But Theranos was wrong. The baby was alive. The diluted blood had confused the machine. If she hadn't gone for a second opinion at a real hospital, she would have made life-altering decisions based on a glitch. Other patients were told they had HIV when they didn't. Cancer patients were told they were safe when they weren't. Elizabeth Holmes wasn't just faking data. She was gaslighting people about their own survival. How do you keep a secret that big? You use fear. Enter Sunny Balwani, the COO, and Elizabeth's secret boyfriend. He was the enforcer. He monitored employees' keycards. He tracked their emails. He fired anyone who asked a question. The culture inside Theranos wasn't innovation. It was paranoia. But Tyler Schultz didn't scare easily. He was a 22-year-old kid, fresh out of college, and his grandfather happened to be George Schultz, a Theranos board member. Tyler sat in the lab and watched the fraud happen. He saw the quality control checks failing 90% of the time. He saw the data being deleted. He tried to tell Elizabeth. She ignored him. He tried to tell his grandfather. His grandfather didn't believe him. So, Tyler went outside the family. He contacted John Carreyrou, a reporter at the Wall Street Journal. He used a burner phone. He met in secret locations. Theranos found out. They hired private investigators to follow him. They threatened to bankrupt his family. But Tyler kept talking. He burned his own legacy to save the patients. On October 15th, 2015, the article dropped. It was a quiet headline. Hot startup Theranos has struggled with its blood test technology, but it was a death blow. The valuation evaporated overnight. Walgreens sued. The FDA raided the labs. And finally, the Department of Justice knocked on the door. Elizabeth Holmes stood trial. She ditched the black turtleneck. She appeared as a new mom, holding a baby, speaking in her natural higher voice. She tried to play the victim. It didn't work. The jury saw the texts. They saw the fake demos. She was sentenced to 11 years in prison. The $9 billion? Gone. Zero. Elizabeth Holmes is in a cell in Texas today, but she left a scar on Silicon Valley. For a decade, she proved that you can hack the human brain with nothing but confidence and a good story. She taught us that if the lie is big enough and the promise is sweet enough, people will beg to be fooled. The next time a visionary stands on a stage, holding a black box that promises to save your life, ask yourself a question. Is it a breakthrough, or is it just another drop of blood in a rigged game? I am James Tudor. This is Empire Archives. Subscribe.